Cheers! What's going on, guys? Good old Samuel Adams Boston Lager. Anyways, doing the keg Keezer build today. So as you see behind me, I don't know if you really see it. I'll show you everything here in a second. We're going to convert my chest freezer that I bought from Best Buy not that long ago into a Keezer. So yeah, I want to show you a couple of things here. Right there's my Keezer. It's a 7.1 capacity, and if I show you over here, I picked up this miter saw because I'll tell you why I picked up the miter saw. I am not a rip saw guy. I use a rip saw once in a while just to like cut a board or whatever, but for this project I wanted to use miter saw. And the reason why, I've seen a lot of Keezer builds, right? I've seen a lot of Keezer builds where people just, they kind of butt the wood together just like that. A butt joint, if you will. I think that's what it's called actually. What I decided I wanted to do is I want to miter the corners so that it's 45s that meet up. Just a cleaner look, you know? Plus I plan on staining the wood. After I get it all bolted together and everything, I want to stain it a chestnut color, and then after that dries, then I'll set the collar in place and, you know, secure it with some silicone. So anyways, just wanted to show you that we're going to do miter cuts, and yeah, so let's get our measurements going here, shall we? Okay, so basically, since I'm doing miter joints, we're going to actually go all the way to the corner of the of this freezer. So I want to measure all the way to the corner, and I actually want to keep it inside this little lip that they've put on this freezer. It's kind of convenient, you know, just use the lip as an edge for this particular model. I will leave the model of this freezer down below, so if you want to do the same project and you can find this freezer, it's a recent buy, so they still probably carry them at Best Buy and some other places, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, it's got a lip, you can see all the way around. It's got a nice lip to rest your board against. So I want to measure from the inside of lip to the inside of lip, per se. So let's do that. Here, 36 3/4. 36 3/4 from the inside quarter to this inside corner. 19 1/4. Yep. Okay, so I've got my 45 set on my miter saw. It's going to cut this way, so it actually has a laser guide, which is awesome, and I've double checked, and the outer edge of the blade is that laser line. Basically going to saw off 45 here, turn the board around, saw 45 off on the other side, and basically I'm using the uglier side of my board. So safety, glasses, let's rock and roll. Make sure my board's fastened good and straight. Here we go. Another thing is, this is a sliding saw, so I made the mistake of not sliding it. So we're going to enable the sliding capability. Ta-da! Perfect 45. Now let's flip the board around and do the other side. Let's do it. Okay, so I popped these little plastic covers off of the freezer. Just little covers that go over the springs. All you do is there's 4 screws on each side, and then you take them off. But I also have to be very careful because they are spring loaded. They're gonna probably fly up, so I need to just be very cautious while doing this. And here we go. Could use a drill to do this, but where's the fun in that? Doing the top ones because they're the hardest to get to. The bottom ones, I'll have more control over this thing if it tries to fly up on me. If you have someone to give you a hand with this, by all means, get help. Okay, taking the last one out, so I gotta be careful here. Boom, like that. And I'm gonna do the other side and take this lid off. Alright, got our 2 sideboards, front and back boards. Alright. So far so good. So basically we got our collar just loosely put together here. And you're just going to go around the whole top of the freezer. And you know, no piece of wood is ever really perfect. So you can see there was a little bit of some curves in my wood, just a defect in the wood itself. I recommend trying to pick the straightest piece of wood you can. But overall, it's pretty money, man. Let me see right here. You see how this board is curved? This will be the back of the Keezer. No one will see it much. But if I really wanted to be ambitious, I could get some wood putty and putty in that hole where the wood just was funky. So what I want to do next, and we're going to do, is sand all these boards down, some sandpaper, and then we'll put our braces in place on the wood, and then we will stain it. Alright guys, so what I got here is a dust mask because I'm going to be sanding stuff, so I need to put this on. Got a couple of work gloves just to keep my hands from getting roughed up from the sandpaper or whatever. And my boards, and my sanding block with my sandpaper, so let's go ahead and get the mask on here. And my gloves. Don't want to be breathing in dust. Alright, get our first board. Sand away. Alright guys, so I've sanded down all the boards and got a lot of the dust off, but they're still dusty. You know, there's still dust in there, and I want my stain to really look nice on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a wet cloth here, just a wet washcloth, just water, and kind of wipe the dust off the boards. Just kind of go around and get all the dust off. Just do it for each board, get all the dust off of them. That way when you stain and you're siliconing and everything, there's no dust preventing everything from working right. Also, need to wipe the lip of this off because a lot of sawdust ended up on the lip of my freezer when I was doing all that. So just want to wipe it real good. And also just go ahead and wipe any other gunk that might be on it. I've been using this freezer sort of as a fridge for my beers until I could get around to building this Keezer. So now I'll be able to just have everything on tap. Alright guys, So here's what we're up to. I'm putting two corners together like so. I've got my square over here. And I'm just going to put it on the outside of these. Okay. And I want to line it up with my square. Well, I've got this corner bracket. And what I want to do is just at the top, I want to get it in position. And mark where these holes are, where the screw holes are, as a template. And then I'll do some pre-drilling, and then I'll fasten them together. And I'm going to do that for every corner. Alright guys, as you see I got my pre-drill marks here. I'm just going to simply drill. I'm using a board under here as a table. I don't have a table set up in this garage yet. I'm just going to drill straight in. A drill press would be nice, right? Not really, not for this kind of project. Okay, I'm gonna do this for all the boards and we'll get back. Just enough to get it going. I'll put one in on this side. Screw this one in more. Okay, we can go ahead and get the rest of these screws in here. So here is the somewhat finished product. And these corners don't match up super perfect, but still, if I want to, I could putty them in or whatever. This wood wasn't the straightest piece of board, but yeah, I mean, overall though, it fits pretty good all the way around like I wanted. I braced it in each corner with two 90-degree angle braces, and yeah, so this is the prettier side back here, so I'm probably going to make that the front. But what I want to do also next is go ahead and stain this. I'm going to stain the whole thing and let it dry, and then I'll be siliconing it in place on top of this chest freezer. And then after that, I'll be siliconing the corners and stuff so that no cold air gets out, you know, just seal it up as good as I can. And I already tested the lid out on it, fits perfect. The seal sets on it nice and perfect. What I also want to do is I'll put the lid on it and, you know, fasten it to the collar instead of to the bottom down here where these holes are, and that'll be where the lid hooks on. But yeah, it's pretty good, pretty heavy collar too. So what I'll do is stain it, silicone it in place, and then I'll let it sit overnight with some heavy stuff on it so the silicone takes, and it should be held in place pretty good. And then I will put the lid on it, and then after that I will be drilling out, you know, drilling some holes for the shanks, and I'll probably hang my gas distributor here. I'll drill out a little bit here and hang it there, and my thermometer, or my thermostat I should say, I will probably just mount it on the side here, and the probe will go in and I'll tape it in place along the back here, so it'll be, you know, pretty close to the bottom, the end of the probe. And then my CO2 will go over here, and a keg, and 3 kegs here. So far so good. So we'll see how this all turns out in the end. All right, guys. So this is the next day, and you can see my 45 is met up, sorta. Got some gaps a little bit here and there. Not too bad overall. But I did stain it yesterday, and I let it sit overnight. And I kind of did it kind of heavy. I'm not the best at staining something, so clearly, but it doesn't look too bad. It's gonna be in my garage anyways. Like here, I'm thinking about, I don't know, I want to get y'all's opinion, because I may go back and do it later. I'm thinking about hitting this either with a clear silicone or hitting it with some wood putty, just to fill it in, and a stainable putty. That way I can just come back and kind of stain over it, and it'll look more finished in the corners. But overall, for my very first Keezer build, and hopefully my only Keezer build, unless I'll just tear the collar off and put it on a new freezer if the freezer ever craps on me, that's that. So what I want to do next is we're going to take this off, and I'm actually going to silicone it to the top of my freezer. And pretty much I'm just going to shoot, looks like I can just shoot a bead. You know, it's a little off down there, but not too bad. Even using a miter saw. Imagine if I'd used a rip saw, I would have been in trouble. But overall, not too shabby. So what I want to do next is I'm going to take this collar off, and I'm going to shoot a bead right down the center, a pretty thick bead of silicone, all the way around. And then we're going to set the collar back on, and I'm going to put some heavy items on it, and that'll be the end of that for the day. And then tomorrow, or tomorrow, or sometime this week, clearly it'll be transparent to you because it's just going to be sequence after sequence after sequence, but this is kind of time consuming. I wasted a lot of time making sure I had my cuts just right. And these are great, these little brackets. I got these at Home Depot. Yep, I threw the name out there. Got these at Home Depot, and just kind of fasten them in the corner, and it braces it and holds it real good, and it's pretty solid. I mean, it's real solid. So what I'm going to do next, like I said, is silicone it, and in a couple of days I will come back and I will silicone all of these corners and the top here. I'll just kind of silicone all the way down on the sides of the plates, because the plates will kind of seal that up too. Just kind of go and just seal every corner. And also I'm going to shoot a bead like along the seam here. I'll shoot a bead of caulk along there too to kind of keep the cold air inside here. Now I have seen some mods where people mount like a fan just to kind of circulate the air in here more. I don't think that's going to be necessary. I really don't. I'm going to just have my probe as far down to the bottom as possible. Not to the very bottom, but probably about 3/4 of the way down. And that'll keep my beer from freezing. And that's that. So let's go ahead and get this collar off and seal this thing. For this, I'm using just some regular 100% silicone, mold free, 7-year mold free. That's good. Really don't want any mold buildup. I'm going to use this to shoot the bead. there we have it. Okay, so now I'm going to put the lid back on, just so I can put heavy objects on top. I'm just going to kind of line it up, like so. Alright guys, so you can see behind me, I've siliconed this thing in place. I've got some fairly heavy items on top here to kind of help put the pressure down on it, help kind of cement it in more. And like I said, I'm going to let this sit overnight and into tomorrow or sometime soon I will finish this build. But I'm going to drill out next. First what I'm going to do is I'm going to silicone the inside after this is all done, settling. Then I'll figure out the placement of my holes where I want my shanks. And then it's just a matter of drilling, cutting some hoses, connecting some hoses, and getting this sucker done. So, be back in a bit. Alright guys, so the weekend before last, whatever, and this video is going to be transparent, of course. We had cut the wood, stained the wood, and I even siliconed it in place, and I was letting that dry. Well, I wasn't very happy with the original stain job, so I sanded it down again. I didn't cover that, figured it wouldn't be worth it. I sanded it all down again and I did a restain and it looks a lot better. Check a look. You can see that's a lot better stain job than before. It just looks a lot better. You can see the grain of the wood better. It looks way more polished. And you'll see down here, I've put a template here. I did this in the kitchen. I took a piece of cardboard, used a square, and I cut it flush, and then I put a level on it and everything. Did straight lines, and then I marked where my centers are going to be for my taps. So what I'm going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and drill the pilot holes where I've put these markings. I don't know if you can see them that well on camera, but I'm going to go ahead and drill these pilot holes. We'll take the template off and then finish drilling. Kind of hold the template in place. This is just enough to see where the holes line up, basically. And I can take them off, take these this template off, and finish doing the real drill. And last but not least, alright, now I got my pilot holes done. I can go ahead and drill a little bigger hole. Alright, now my shank is, I think it's about 7/8 or so. I'm using a 7/8 spade bit to do this. So we're going to go ahead, the diameter of this, see if you can see it, the diameter is pretty close. So I'm going to try a 7/8 and see how it goes. Here we go. Yep. 7/8 it is. So I'm going to drill the rest of them here. This is the other side of the Keezer, opposite, the taps. I'm actually going to drill a hole here with a 5/8 inch spade bit because my beverage or my gas tubing is 5/8 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and do a pilot hole and then spade bit this one just like I did for the holes on the shanks. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and get back to you. Ta-da! Okay guys, sadly enough, I don't have any of my tape I wanted to use, but this will work for now. Basically going to take this tape, and I want to tape it where the probe is outward. And I'm going to tape it down as far as I can reach. So now my probe is going to be reading the temperatures at the base of the freezer more and not up. And then basically I want to pull this wire out till it's about like that. I'm going to tape it in a couple more places here. Okay, so now all I want to do here is figure out where I want to mount this. So I'm going to mount this right about here. So that means my screw hole needs to be just above there. So I'm going to do it like drill it right up here. I'm just doing a pilot hole. Just doing a pilot hole so I can get my screw in there. And of course I'm using a screw that's not as deep as the wood because I really don't want to go through the wood. It's the only kind of screws I had, so bear with me. Alright, Inkbird is on. Okay, one thing, I'm going to put the liquid tubing on here next. But this tubing is it's cold right now. It's like winter still, and I'm in my garage. It's not gonna go on, man, like without me doing something to make it go on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and slide my little key over the tubing, and I'm gonna take this tube and I'm gonna put it in this bowl of hot water I've got for just a few minutes. That'll help make the tube expand some, and then I can slide it right over the nipples on these shanks. So that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm gonna go ahead and just for a few minutes, and I'm gonna do it with each one. Let's get these perlix on, huh? So they're all installed. I got a problem though. I've created quite a mess in this whole ordeal with sawdust everywhere, and I really need to get in and vacuum this thing out. I mean, I'll show you. It's pretty gross, and so I'm gonna go ahead and get all the sawdust and stuff out, wipe it out real good, and then I'm gonna go ahead and caulk all the corners in here. I mean, I just need to go around and do another bead of caulk all the way around, and get the corners real good. That way we don't have any cold air leaking out anywhere. And I'm going to use a clear silicone so it doesn't look ugly. So let me get that done, and we'll get back to this. All right. What do y'all think, man? Looks pretty damn clean if you ask me. So anyways, one thing I did not do that I forgot to mention is over here, let me bring this up here for a second. I haven't connected the gas line to the manifold, so I need to do that real quick. So let's go ahead and I want to give myself some slack here, just for future purposes. I don't know why, but if I ever need to move things, or I don't know. Let's go ahead and the gas line's pretty easy to put on too. It's not as much a pain as the beverage tubing is. Just gonna snug her down. I'm hoping this thing doesn't leak. I've heard some stories of people having problems with these, but I'm hoping that's not the case. If it is, I'll just have to pop it off and get a replacement. But my previous one is made from the same manufacturer, and I didn't have any problems with it, so pretty snug. Now we are complete. I'll show you over here. I've got plenty of extra gas hose here coming out. I wanted to make sure I had plenty. So basically I'm gonna cut it. So CO2 bottle is just gonna sit out here. So I'm just gonna cut off probably about this much. I'll have about that much for my gas. And I'm gonna go ahead and caulk this, caulk the other side, and caulk everything else. And after that, we'll get back to putting the lid on. Lid on top of this thing. I just finished caulking it up. I caulked all around the outside corners with some clear silicone. I got all the corners inside, just to make sure no cold air escapes this thing. So let's get the lid back on. And we're gonna go around to the back, get an idea where we're gonna put the screws to hold this thing back on. All right, we're on the back of the kegerator here. And we can't use the original screw holes because they're way down here, so I'm gonna have to make screw in new screws to hold this lid in place to the collar. So I basically just want to make sure it's lined up with the collar pretty well on both sides. Find my happy place here. Be about there maybe. Alright, that looks about good. That's where I want it to be. So I'm gonna get the drill and drill some pilot holes. Alright, lid is on. Let's take a walk around it, shall we? So yeah, pops up fine. Got it all caulked on the inside. It's ready for some beer, guys. Only thing left to do is just snip my line to the length. Sorry, my cord's getting away. Snip my line to the right length. There's my CO2 and regulator. Just connect the line to my regulator and we are done. So, but yeah, she seals nicely. Boom, nice seal all the way down. And all I gotta do is put the covers back on these springs. Got my thermostat here, caulked my lines going in, caulked my lines going in here as well. Well, I caulked it on the inside. I still need to shoot some caulk around this. Good thing I caught that. But I did caulk, as you can see, I did caulk inside around the line. I just need to caulk around the outside of it. So there you have it, guys. New Brew-Q Keezer. It's gonna go into work here real soon. So anyways, keep an eye out. I will be pulling some beers out of it here real soon, and I'm interested to see how this goes. So I appreciate all of you watching, and this has been a long video. I'm hoping it's not too long. I'm gonna try and edit it as short as I can and cut out all the fluff. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching this, and up next will be char griller stuff. Cheers.